biggest problems with gene editing as a therapeutic tool is that, to date, the treatments are typically focusing on making a specific correction in a specific gene to fix a specific patient's disease. And so it's patient by patient. And yes, you hear about those patients being saved, and that's amazing. But what about all the other people with that same disease or with other diseases that are caused by different mutations? So even the same genetic disease is often caused by a variety of different mutations, let alone the fact that different genetic diseases are caused by different mutations in different genes. So how can a single genetic therapy tool actually combat all of these, or at least many of these? Well, it turns out that many of these have the same thing in common, which is that they're caused by premature termination codons, or PTCs. Basically, these are early stop signs in the genes for making the protein. You have to refer to these as nonsense mutations, and you might see them indicated by an X. The ribosome, when it travels along the messenger RNA and it's putting together the amino acids into a growing chain to make the protein, well, when it gets to the codon, so the kind of word in that mRNA that says stop, it stops, and then the release factor comes in and it cuts off the growing chain and you get the protein made. And normally that stop codon is at the end of the messenger RNA, so you make the whole protein and then you cut it off. In the case of a premature termination codon, or a PTC, which is the cause of about 11% of genetic disorders, what happens is that one of the words, so these three RNA letters, is called a codon, and the ribosome kind of goes along, and as it encounters each codon, a tRNA, so another type of RNA, comes in, and it brings the amino acid that codon says, put in here. So this codon encodes or has the instructions for bringing in a specific amino acid. The tRNA brings in that amino acid and it gets added to the chain. Except in the case of the stop codons, where the stop codon comes into the little ribosomal entry slots, and then what happens is a release factor, so a protein instead of a tRNA, comes in and it cuts off the growing chain. And in the case of the PTC, you get that chain that's cut off too soon, and so you get this truncated protein. And then what happens is you can actually get the mRNA degraded to something called nonsense-mediated decay, where basically the release factor is then going to coordinate with some nonsense-mediated decay proteins, and then that's going to lead to the mRNA being decayed because it indicates oh, this mRNA is not functional. And speaking of not functional, that truncated protein you made is likely not functional, and it might actually have a dominant negative effect. And so it's actually kind of toxic, not just not functional. And so lots of different diseases can be caused by premature termination codons. You get that mutation in the gene that makes the mutation in the messenger RNA that says, put a stop codon here. Or says cut me off here and before the protein's done. And no matter what gene it's in, it's going to cause that premature termination of that protein, corresponding protein. Unless, however, that premature termination codon is read through. And so basically what happens in a read through is that instead of cutting off the chain, the ribosome adds an amino acid when it sees the stop sign. Thankfully, it doesn't happen very often in normal termination, where you want termination to occur, because there are safety measures in place. So at the end of a gene, there are typically multiple stop codons, as well as the proximity to kind of the tail and the proteins attached to the tail makes it so that those real stop codons at the end of a gene, at the end of a messenger RNA, are kind of safer. They're safeguarded, and so it's harder to read through those. But those premature termination codons, those are more susceptible to being read through. And so sometimes this happens just naturally. There's kind of a little bit of wiggle room in the tRNAs, and so you can get this kind of read through of these mutations, which allows a small amount of functional protein to get made. But sometimes this doesn't happen, and often, even if you've got that small amount of functional protein, that's not enough. But it's enough to say, oh, hey, scientists can maybe make it so that you can actually increase the amount of read-through of these premature termination codons, and that would allow you then to have full-length protein made. So how can you do this? Well, there are small molecules that can actually enhance the premature termination codon read-through, And so some of the first chemicals that were found to be able to do this were actually the antibiotics, aminoglycosides, but those are kind of toxic at high effects. You don't want to have them. They're non-specific and all these various problems. You don't want to have like just a bunch of antibiotics, and you don't want to have to be constantly dosing the patients with them. Dosage is a big problem. So I thought it would be pertinent to discuss PERT, prime editing mediated read-through of premature termination codons. Long story short, you use CRISPR gene editing in order to introduce a specific suppressor tRNA, and so a suppressor tRNA is actually going to be able to recognize an inappropriate stop sign in the messenger RNA instructions for making a protein, and instead of cutting off the protein, giving you a truncated protein piece, you instead incorporate an amino acid, the ribosome keeps going, and you get a full-length protein that hopefully is functional, although you might have introduced a different amino acid than should be in there. But you introduce a full-length protein and you don't subject the messenger RNA to nonsense-mediated decay, which can happen if you have a premature termination codon. So how does this work? Basically, it uses a newer form of CRISPR called prime editing. And this form of CRISPR basically has a reverse transcriptase that is guided by RNAs that take it to a specific site, and then it kind of changes the sequence in that site using this reverse transcription of the sequence that you want and then incorporating it. What these scientists were able to do was to actually take one of the redundant tRNA genes in the genome, and so we've got lots of copies of tRNA genes, and so they were able to take one of those normal copies and actually convert it into a form that had a stop codon as its anticodon. And so now this tRNA that used to be recognizing this codon and bringing this amino acid is now going to be recognizing a stop codon and bringing this amino acid. And they screened a bunch of different potential ones, and they found that ones for leucine were most easily able to be converted. And so then they designed these suppressor tRNAs that would incorporate a leucine at the stop sign. And so hopefully the protein would normally have a leucine there. If it doesn't, you might have some problems, but future versions could actually do things like change the amino acid that would actually get incorporated to make it so that you would get a more functional protein. But in this case, they were able to show that you could get this translational read-through of a variety of different mutation-causing genes, and then this would allow the full-length protein to be made. And it did not show that you were getting the kind of enhanced read-through of the normal genes, because remember, they've got a bunch of safeguards in place, such as extra stop signs at the end, as proximity to the tail, where there's got additional proteins that are going to help say, like, yes, this is actually a release place, so do come in and do kind of facilitate the whole release of the protein. Instead, these premature termination codons are in the kind of middle of a gene, the middle of the messenger RNA, and so they are going to be like, the release factor can cut them off, but it's going to have a harder time, and so there's more time for things like these suppressor tRNAs to actually have an effect there, which is good because they still showed pretty low efficiency in the amount of read-through. However, this is doing it kind of inside of the cellular context itself, and so you don't need to be continuously delivering the suppressor tRNAs. So some therapeutics based on suppressor tRNAs have been tried, but that have been just delivering the tRNA itself. And this is then going to make it so it has some benefits, such as that it's not permanently altering the DNA, and therefore if there's any toxicity in things, you can just stop giving it. However, you have to keep giving it in order to keep having an effect. And delivering it can be challenging due to problems with stability, problems with delivery, site-specific delivery, and all these various things that you hear about in terms of trying to deliver nucleotide therapeutics. Delivering the CRISPR machinery and the stuff for the prime editing is also a challenge, but at least that's a one-time challenge that then you just have it incorporated into the genome and you don't have to keep continuously dosing. One of the problems with the continuous dosing too is that you have to figure out like what's the optimal dose, because too little and it's not going to be effective, but too much and you can actually get toxicity. because even though it's less likely to affect those normal termination codons, those NTCs, those natural termination codons, if you have enough of it, it actually can. And so if you kind of like overwhelm things, then you can actually get the read through of genes that you don't want read through. Also, there's some instances where premature termination codons can actually play an important regulatory role, sometimes through the nonsense-mediated decay route rather than through generating truncated proteins. And so you want to be cognizant of these things. And so scientists are discovering that there's a lot more about these PTCs and about the nonsense-mediated decay than they thought. And so they're still trying to figure everything out. However, this does show promise as a treatment strategy that would have a wider effect than just treating genetic diseases on a one patient by one patient basis. Of course, you still have the problem that gene editing itself is very expensive and not very accessible to people, at least at this point in time. And so companies are still looking at small molecules, so your more conventional drugs, in order to promote the read-through of these premature termination codons. These tend to be a little less specific though, and so then they have more of those problems, as well as you have the problem that you have to keep dosing it. But you're potentially having a cheaper cost. It just depends on kind of like the pricing and things, because typically with gene therapies, they price them super duper expensive, but it's one time. Whereas with these small molecules, it can be cheaper, but over time that cost can add up. But hopefully this research can help with the development of cheaper, more accessible strategies for combating a lot of different diseases, because these premature termination codons are causing about 11% of genetic diseases. And so you think about genetic disease and you think, oh yeah, you've got this one mutation that causes disease in all these different patients. But remember, it's typically a lot of different mutations that can cause the disease by messing with the same protein. And the same type of mutation can be found in a lot of different diseases. And so by tackling that type of mutation, rather than by tackling the specific mutation in the gene, then you're able to treat a wider variety of different diseases. And PERT is one of the ways that you can do this, by making the genome encode for one of these suppressor tRNAs that recognizes one of those premature termination codons and says to the ribosome, hey, don't stop here, instead put in an amino acid. And hopefully that amino acid will allow the protein to be functional. And so there's a lot of development that needs to be done to make sure that we can make functional proteins with these and incorporate the specific amino acids that we want, not have off-target activity, so not be affecting genes we don't want to be read through. But when we do want read through, then this is a promising new strategy, and I look forward to seeing where it goes.